guys? Welcome back to Zilla MMA. I'm your host, as always, the Zilla. Going to start this episode like I do every episode. That's thanking you, the viewers. Coming up here at the end of the year, we're really starting to build a little bit here. We've only been doing this a few months, but I'm pretty happy with the progress we've made. Let's try and make a little more wrapping up this year, coming off the last card of the year. So please like, subscribe, leave some comments. Let me know what you thought of this last card of the year. And we'll go ahead and get into this recap. UFC 296. I've been trying to do a better job of getting these recap videos out the night of the cards. I just think we get some better viewership. A lot of people want to hear immediately after the card what people's thoughts are on it. This card just finished in such an uninspiring way. Also very late. But so uninspiring. I just didn't really have it in me Saturday night to get on here and make this. So filming this Sunday night, should be releasing Monday morning. Also give me some time to reflect on some of these fights and get my thoughts together about what I want to say about them. So we'll go ahead and get into it a little bit. Let me pull up our gambling results. Not too bad of a card for us gambling-wise, surprisingly. We only went 7-5, but we took a lot of risks on dogs in this card. So we'll start with prize picks. Prize picks, obviously we had the Randy Brown fight fall off, so we only had 2 plays, but we went 2-0. First time undefeated in a while. We've been going 2-1 on pretty much every card, but this card got the 2-0, so that's a good one for us. 1-0 on parlays with the Rakhmonov Pantoja. We had Brown and Fili, but unfortunately that fight did not happen. Instead of that, I did bet Gaziev as a straight bet. That gave me 2-2 on straight bets. Gave out 1-2 on the previous video, but Josh Emmett was the one that hit, so pretty big dog play. The other 2 were also dogs, so you might have come out profitable on that as well. So I came out at a profit. If you followed all my bets and used my analysis, I'm pretty sure you did too. So as far as that goes, not too bad of a card for us. As far as entertainment value, the prelims very exciting. Main card did not live up to the hype, and we had discussed all week how this could, be up there with best card of the year. Just it didn't have the big name power necessarily of a few other cards of the year, but pretty close. And if you looked at it top to bottom, it was just a stacked card. And a lot of these people just didn't live up to the expectations we have for them. We're looking at a couple of those guys here in Leon Edwards and Colby Covington. I won't take too much away from Leon. Just with the style that Colby fought, he didn't have that many opportunities to go in and throw. But Colby on the other side, the thing we discussed most of the week was, is Colby going to come out and be the same guy that he's been in the past? And can we depend on him to fight that style of fight? And I kind of had thought the answer was going to be yes. And if it wasn't, I thought it might be a cardio issue. Maybe he can't keep the pace he has for 5 rounds. Apparently, he can't do it for 1 round. Just really no explanation for the performance from Colby here. Just looked like an absolute shell of himself. Didn't force the pace, didn't force the takedowns, didn't put any pressure on Leon. It was just pretty disappointing from start to finish here. And it worries me a little bit about this weight class going forward. I mean, we had Rakhmonov, obviously, who's showing up well. No one really wants to see below Muhammad. They're looking for every opportunity to pass him over again. And then Leon's up here. I mean, it wasn't a flashy performance. Again, I don't know how much I want to take away from him, just how Colby seemed to be running away the whole fight. He's not moving forward. It's not what Leon was expecting. I don't want to take too much away from him here, but he wasn't overly impressive himself. So just overall, a very disappointing fight. Trump needs to drop Colby. I mean, that was embarrassing, the speech he gave afterwards, endorsing Trump after the performance he put on, and does a complete heel turn on the crowd, just because he was pulling out every line he had to try and get the crowd to clap for him, talking about the real heroes, first responders. Trump's gonna make America great again, and the crowd just booed straight through it. They weren't giving him the out of letting him say things that they wanted to clap for, and so eventually makes the heel turn at the end of that. And I really don't see a good path for Colby going from here. If that's his fight style going forward now, he doesn't really have much of a hope in this division. So very disappointing, just because he was always right on the cusp there when fighting Kamaru Usman. And if we had seen that same fighter in here, I think it would have been a very interesting fight. But unfortunately, we don't get that. Leon Edwards retains the belt, and we'll go ahead and move on from this fight. Next, we have Pantoja and Royval. Pretty good fight. Royval, definitely the fresher fighter down the stretch. A heavy hitter. Gave a good fight to Pantoja, but Pantoja did what we thought he would. He mixed in that wrestling, was able to control Royval for a lot of the fight, and that ultimately helped him in getting this win. Just a pretty good performance from Pantoja. I mean, did gas a little towards the end, and I had said going into this fight, I thought the gassing thing was a little blown out of proportion. They started talking about it in the broadcast in the third and fourth round. I don't think he was gassed then. The fifth round, for sure, was definitely eating a lot more shots from Royval. Royval looked like the hungrier fighter in that fifth round. But at that point, I think Pantoja had already done enough to win this fight. So good performance from Pantoja. Glad he's going to keep holding up this weight class. Obviously, we need good performances at this weight class. They're always looking for any opportunity they can get to eliminate it from the UFC. So yeah, just a really, really good performance from both these fighters. I really enjoyed this fight. I know some people think it's a little slower, but just the intricacies of Pantoja timing his shots and the striking battle between the two, I very much enjoyed it personally. So good co-main event there. Then we have Rakhmonov and Wonder Boy. Yeah, just stylistically, as we assumed it would be, just a big problem for Wonder Boy. Was able to keep it at a distance a little bit during this fight and do the striking he wanted to do. But as soon as Rakhmonov was on him, it was kind of over. I mean, there's just not that much that he can do once Rakhmonov takes control of him, and he's ultimately able to go and get the submission. A lot of people think he is next in line for the title. It will obviously probably be between him and Belal Muhammad. And most people, including myself, would rather see Rakhmonov there. Still some things left to be desired from Shavkat. I'm still a little concerned about him on the feet. But we'll see where we go from here. I think it's a more interesting fight than the main event we got tonight for sure. More of a style that I think will give Leon Edwards trouble. So, good fight here. Very much enjoyed Shavkat getting the win. But we'll move on from that one. And this has got to be the most disappointing fight of the night. Just a tough one to swallow. Because we really, really wanted to see Tony get a win here. I mean, for nostalgia reasons, I love the guy. And the only thing that really bothers me about this, if Patty had come out and starched him, if Patty had come out and got on his neck, I think I could live with saying, all right, we all knew Tony has been done for a while now. He probably shouldn't have been in this fight in the first place. And Patty came out and showed that he is at least a UFC caliber fighter. I don't know, top of UFC. I certainly don't believe that at this point, but we could say, yeah, he's still a solid UFC fighter. Tony is way past his prime. Doesn't need to be in there with this guy. And I probably could have lived with that, to be honest. But we get in that third round, and Patty is just so gassed he can barely move. He's shooting desperate shots, trying to get this to the ground. He can barely stand up in there. And Tony just seems content to sit in the guard. And I know all the success he has from the guard. I know he's throwing up those elbows. I know he's looking for submission attempts. But, man, if he had it on the feet in that third round, I don't know what happens. I really don't. I think he might be able to get the finish. He's definitely looked like the fresher fighter, but for some reason just content to be on there on the ground. Same thing in the earlier rounds. I mean, I understand initially trying to throw up those elbows. It seemed like he was getting some success with that. Maybe throwing up a couple triangle attempts. I understand that. When he's giving you the opportunity to get your feet on his hips, or when you're going for these triangles and he's standing up, getting out of your guard, giving you the opportunity to get up, take advantage of it. You have to take advantage of these opportunities when fighters like this that know how to maul you on the ground, when they give you opportunities to stand up, you have to take them. Tony didn't do that. I think he could have had an opportunity in this fight on the feet, especially in that third round, but instead the narrative is going to be that Paddy Pimblett dominated Tony Ferguson start to finish, which I guess technically he did. I guess technically he did, but Tony had his opportunities to avoid letting that happen and chose not to take advantage of those. And it's really frustrating to see that. I really hope we're at the end for Tony. I really don't want to see him fight again. I really didn't want to see him fight this time, and we discussed that coming into this, but 7 in a row, we've got to hang it up. Paddy has a loss coming in the near future, and yeah, it's a tough one. But yeah, we'll move on from this. Hopefully the end for Tony will soon be the end for Paddy. Scary one here. We were all on Josh Emmett, and I am a big fan of Josh Emmett. I've been a big fan of Josh Emmett for a very long time now. But I've grown to really like Bryce Mitchell as well. I think he's a great character. I think he has a great positive outlook on the sport. Saw some interviews with him today following that scary knockout of him, and it's hard not to root for the guy, but very scary knockout here. Emmett just lands a perfect shot with all the power in the world that guy has. Just couldn't have landed more crisp on Mitchell. Mitchell seemed to have some form of seizure or something once hitting the ground. It was pretty disturbing, actually, and tough to see for Bryce Mitchell here. He admitted post-fight, too, just not a great game plan for him. He was willing to stay at a range with Josh Emmett, and he really should have been getting on him, working for the takedown pretty much immediately. That would have been his best path to victory, just getting in close, mauling him, not letting Josh Emmett have the range to throw those big shots. But unfortunately, that's not what he did, and so Josh Emmett gets this win for us, and a great underdog pick for us on this card. Then we have Menifield, Jacoby, another tough one for us. I was fairly confident in Jacoby. I thought he could get the win here, and I think he still put on the better performance. He was the better overall fighter, but the impactful shots came from Menifield. Menifield just, as soon as it looks like Jacoby's starting to take over, like he's starting to really get things going, and Menifield's starting to gas like we expect him to with him carrying all that muscle. Menifield lands a big shot, dazes Jacoby again, and just gets another opportunity to wail on him. And so I think going into that third round, we had it 1-1, and Jacoby's winning that third round about 2 minutes in. He's looking like he can go out and win this fight. And Menifield lands another big shot and takes control of the fight, and that's the end. He ends up getting the decision here, and I think he deserved it. There's no argument with it. So yeah, I mean that's the risk you take when you face a guy with power like Menifield. Menifield on a pretty good little win streak now. Good for him. I mean, Menifield's a likable guy. I have no trouble getting behind him. He's going to have to work on that cardio. But the power he's got is undeniable at this point. So good for Menifield. Tough for us getting the Jacoby loss there. Then a fight that a lot of people are having as an argument for fight of the year. I think it's certainly the best female fight of the year, and that's Aldana and Rosa. Aldana going out and getting the win for us, and coming off a week where I was bad-mouthing female MMA a little bit. I was completely disinterested in analyzing these two fights, but just a great performance from both of these women. Aldana's leg after she won, just 2 times the size of her other leg. Both of these women's faces degraded to nothing but hamburger meat. Just an absolute war between both of them. Aldana able to get the better of this, but uh, you know, hands up, I was wrong about this fight, and these women deserve all the praise for putting on that performance. So great fight there for both of these women, and happy to get the win with Aldana in this spot. Then we move into the Garbrandt Kelleher fight, and like I said, there's a lot of people out there who are a couple things. They want to fade Garbrandt just to fade Garbrandt. They don't like Garbrandt, so they're going to bet against Garbrandt. And then the people who don't trust his chin. And I understand those people, but if you look at him stylistically now, he's definitely made some changes. He's not that fighter fighting with his chin out there to get hit anymore. We were hoping he was going to work in some wrestling here and be able to use that to win this fight. But even though he didn't, he was still very protective. He's got a high guard. He's protecting himself. He's not leaving himself open to those big shots that he used to take. And he's able to land a big shot of his own and get the win here. And, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. He short favorite. I think he got down to like minus 180 coming into this fight. And a lot of money coming in on Kelleher. And we felt very good about Garbrandt in this spot. And it paid off. And so I'm looking forward to what we see going forward from Garbrandt. But just a great performance. I'm really happy with how it went. And hopefully we'll get more of it going forward. So good fight for us there. Then we have Lipski and O'Neal. Lipski pretty dominant in this spot. O'Neal just didn't look that good. Was pretty easily controlled by Lipski here. Lipski able to go out and get the submission of Casey O'Neal. So kind of concerning for Casey O'Neal in this spot, but very good for Lipski. Hats off to her. Congratulations on the victory there. Obviously, we were on O'Neal in this spot, so that did not go our way. And then we have Ulanbekov versus Durden, one that kind of got lost in the shuffle of all the other fights that happened this night, but one that I was kind of vocally unhappy with. The way it was trending, I actually do think that Tagir Ulanbekov probably ends up winning regardless. Was just really having an easy time controlling Durden. Durden really kind of struggling with the length, and Ulanbekov honestly looked stronger in the wrestling exchanges. But we had 6 warnings for Ulanbekov having his toes in the cage. And you could say whatever you want, that it's not helping him with leverage, or it's not. It certainly seemed like it did to me when he's trying to backpack Durden and he's putting his toes in the cage to keep himself from slipping off, to keep the position that he's trying to hold. And to give him 6 warnings and just, on a couple of occasions, not even give warnings, just pull his toes out of the cage, that's kind of frustrating to me. I mean, I think there's a good argument to be made that they should just be allowed to put their fingers and toes in the cage. Okay, if you want to make that argument, that's perfectly fine. I can see that argument. I saw some fighters on Twitter making that argument. I understand that. But the rule exists there now, and if it's a rule we don't want to enforce, I can also see that argument. Like, if it's not egregious, then we'll let it go. Why are we giving 6 warnings then? Why are you pulling his toes out of the cage? What's the point of giving these warnings if you're not going to do anything about it? I don't know if it arises to the point of a point deduction, but you've got to give up. You've got to take away the position at some point. Stand them up. Put them both in the middle of the octagon. You can't let him use that to be able to maintain that position and then continuously warn him. He ultimately gets the finish from that position, and you didn't do anything to stop it. So it's hard to say that didn't contribute to him getting the finish. Kind of difficult for me to swallow. Wasn't very happy at the end of this fight just because of that. But ultimately, I do think Ulanbekov was fighting the better fight. You never know what could have happened, but we take the loss there. We were taking the dog in Durden and unable to get it done for us in this spot. And then we move on to a guy who really got it done for us, and a guy that I really enjoy going forward. That's Fili. Just lands a really impressive big shot here. Gets the knockout. was one of my favorite bets of the weekend. Obviously, got us the over in the fantasy score. The on our prize picks, the other prize picks being the under on takedowns from Bryce Mitchell. So, yeah, did go 2-0 on that. But just a great performance from Fili. I really look forward to seeing what he's going to do going forward. I actually didn't put the graphic together today. I didn't think of it, but we're going to go ahead and add Andre Fili to Zilla's heroes. I'm trying to think of if there's anyone I want to add to my zeros this week. I considered adding Emmett to the heroes. I don't think I want to do that just at this point in his career. I don't think there's a point in adding Tony Ferguson to the zero. You know what? We're going to add Colby Covington to the zeros. Just an abysmal performance. I don't want to back him after that. He's completely turned heel. The shtick doesn't work when you're not winning. We're going to add Colby Covington to our zeros. And we're going to add Andre Fili to our heroes. I'll have that updated the next time we use that graphic, which will be at least a month from now at this point, unfortunately. But, yeah, great performance from Andre Fili. I have a lot of confidence in him going forward. He's made some really good changes to his game. Had a really good post-fight speech with Joe Rogan talking about how long it's been since they've talked. It's been like a decade since the two of them have met in the octagon. Really cool moment. I think he's really made some positive changes to his fight style. So great win for Andre Fili. Feel good about him going forward. And then the one that we started the card with that went really well for us. We had Fiziev getting, Gaziev. I apologize. Shamil Gaziev getting the win for us here. And it's exactly how we thought it would go. Buday just is a guy who's trying to push you back against the cage. And this isn't a guy that you want to be close in and doing that with, because Gaziev is able to land some really big shots on you. And he did that. He did that very impressively. Obviously has very heavy hands. There could be some holes in his game, some things that he needs to work on going forward, but not a lot exposed here against Buday. He looked pretty solid here for me. Yeah, just really heavy hands. Was able to very quickly do damage to Buday that phased Buday pretty early in this fight, and didn't really seem to have too much of gas tank issues either. I mean, he's landed big shots deep, getting into the second round all the way through the first round. Heavyweights that carry this kind of weight, normally aren't able to have that kind of cardio, but he looked pretty impressive to me. And so I'm going to have to start remembering that name, Gaziev, because he could be a guy who's around here for a while. I really liked what I saw from him. So stays undefeated here and gets us the win in this spot. So that's going to do it for this card, guys. We got some time off. We've got about a month until our next UFC card. I believe it's the Ankalaev Johnny Walker fight, second week of January. Should be a good one. Look forward to breaking that one down. Gonna have to go back and rewatch the little bit that we got of the first fight just to refresh how they look stylistically. But it's been a great year, guys. We've only been doing this for a couple months. We've made a lot of really good progress. I really appreciate you guys. Gonna try and get a few videos out within these next couple weeks. I'm thinking maybe like a award show type, fight of the year, fighter of the year, throwing some fun ones of my own, doing something like that. And then probably we'll do that next week. And then probably a New Year's resolution type card, what we want to see out of 2024. I think that'll be a fun one, so I'll probably do that the following week. If I get the time, maybe I'll throw together some power rankings or something along those lines as well. But anything you guys want to see, leave it down in the comments. I'd love to make some more content focused towards what people want to see. Please, again, subscribe. It really helps the channel. We're going to keep making these videos going into 2024. Hope to see a lot of growth through 2024. Really appreciate all of you who have helped get us to this point in 2023. And until next time, guys, see ya.